When Ollie landed in Singapore, the city felt like a different world. Everything looked clean, fast, and bright. Tall buildings touched the sky, trains moved on time, and people walked with purpose. Ollie was a Pakistani boy from a small city, and this was his first job abroad. He had come with big dreams and heavy responsibilities. Ollie worked as a junior technician at a data center in Jurong. The pay was decent, but the work was demanding. Every day, he woke up early in his shared room, said a short prayer, and took the MRT to work. He told himself again and again, "I'm here for my family. I must succeed." Singapore was kind but strict. Rules were everywhere, and time mattered a lot. Ollie tried his best to fit in. He learned to say thank you softly, to stand on the left side of the escalator, and to eat quickly during lunch breaks. At night, he called his mother and said, "I'm fine," even when he felt tired and lonely. One afternoon, while fixing a network issue in the office lobby, Ollie met her. Her name was Maylin. She worked as a project coordinator for a partner company that shared the same building. She wore simple clothes, spoke calmly, and smiled with her eyes. When Ollie looked up from his laptop, she was standing there, waiting patiently. "Hi, are you almost done?" she asked, in clear, gentle English. "Yes, just 5 minutes," Ollie replied, feeling his heart beat faster for no reason. "No rush," she said, smiling again. That smile stayed with Ollie for the rest of the day. Over the next few weeks, they saw each other often. Sometimes in the lift, sometimes at the coffee machine. Maylin liked kopi with less sugar. Ollie preferred tea, but he started buying kopi just to stand there a little longer. They began talking, small talks at first. Work, weather, food. "You like Singapore food?" Maylin asked one day. "I am learning," Ollie said, laughing. "Laksa is spicy, but I like it." She laughed too. "Next time, I bring you to a good place. Not too spicy." Slowly, comfort replaced shyness. Ollie told her about Pakistan, about his family, and why he came to Singapore. Maylin told him about her job, her long hours, and her dreams to grow in her career. She was ambitious, but kind. Independent, but warm. One evening, after work, Maylin suggested a walk at Marina Bay. The city lights reflected on the water, and the air was soft. People around them took photos, laughed, and enjoyed the night. "You like it here?" she asked. "Yes," Ollie said honestly. "But sometimes I feel alone." She nodded. Singapore can be lonely. Even for people born here. They sat on a bench, close but not touching. Ollie felt nervous, but happy. For the first time since he arrived, he forgot about deadlines and pressure. As they talked, the space between them slowly disappeared. Maylin looked at Ollie, and Ollie looked back. There was a pause, quiet but full of feeling. "Ollie," she said softly. He didn't think. He just leaned in. Their lips met in a gentle kiss, short, careful, and warm. It was not rushed. It was not planned. It felt real. They pulled back, both surprised, both smiling. "I'm sorry," Ollie said quickly. Maylin shook her head. It's okay. That night, Ollie couldn't sleep. His heart felt light, but his mind felt heavy. He knew his life was not simple. His job contract, his family expectations, his need to succeed, everything stood between him and this new feeling. Mei Lin, too, felt confused. She liked Ollie, but her career was important. She had worked hard to be where she was, and she could not afford distractions. Yet, something had started. As Ollie looked at the Singapore skyline from his window, he whispered to himself, I came here for work, but maybe fate has other plans. After that night at Marina Bay, everything felt different for Ollie. At work, he tried to focus on cables, screens, and reports, but his mind often drifted to Mei Lin. A small message from her could change his whole day. Good morning. Don't forget breakfast, she texted once. Ollie smiled at his phone like a teenager. He replied, you too. Have a good day. They started meeting more often. Sometimes it was just a short lunch at a hawker center near the office. Mei Lin taught Ollie how to order food properly. Say less spicy if you cannot handle, she teased. Ollie laughed. I'm becoming Singaporean slowly. She smiled. Still Pakistani, but with Singapore habits. They sat on plastic chairs, sharing chicken rice and iced tea. Around them, office workers talked loudly, aunties cleaned tables, and MRT trains passed nearby. It was simple, normal, and beautiful. One weekend, Mei Lin invited Ollie to East Coast Park. The sea breeze was calm, and families were cycling, eating, and relaxing. They walked side by side, sometimes bumping shoulders. Singapore life is fast, Mei Lin said. Even on weekends, people think about work. Ollie nodded. Same for me. My family depends on me. I cannot fail. She looked at him carefully. That's a lot of pressure. Yes, he said quietly. But I chose this. They sat under a tree, watching the waves. Mei Lin rested her head lightly on Ollie's shoulder. Ollie felt her warm and closed his eyes. For a moment, the world slowed down. He turned to her, and this time, the kiss was longer. Softer. More sure. But after the kiss, silence came. Ollie, Mei Lin said gently, we should talk. His heart tightened. About what? About us. They didn't say much that day, but both knew the truth was coming. In the following weeks, work pressure increased. Ollie's manager told him that contract renewal would depend on performance. Overtime became normal. Some nights, Ollie returned to his room past midnight, too tired to even call home. Mei Lin was also under stress. Her company was planning a big project, and she wanted a promotion. Meetings, presentations, and deadlines filled her days. They still met, but less often. Messages became shorter. Busy today. Talk later. Sorry, very tired. One evening, Ollie finally shared his fear. If my contract is not renewed, I must go back, he said. Mei Lin looked down. I know. And even if it is renewed, he continued, my family wants me to save money, maybe move to a better job. Love is not a priority for them. Mei Lin took a deep breath. In Singapore, career is also everything. My parents expect me to focus, not get involved in something uncertain. They looked at each other, both caring, both scared. So what are we doing? Ollie asked. I don't know, Mei Lin answered honestly. One night, After a long week, they met again at Marina Bay. The same place where everything started. The lights were still beautiful, but the mood was heavier. I wish life was simpler, Ollie said. Mei Lin held his hand. Me too. They kissed again, this time with sadness mixed in. It felt like holding something precious that could break any time. As they separated, Ollie felt a quiet fear growing inside him. Love had come into his life unexpectedly, but so had a choice between heart and responsibility. Singapore stood strong around them, a city that rewarded focus and discipline. And both Ollie and Mei Lin knew that in this city, love alone was never enough. Days in Singapore started to feel shorter for Ollie and Mei Lin, even though the city never slept. Ollie's workload increased suddenly. His manager called him one morning and said, "We are reviewing contracts next quarter. I need to see more commitment from you." Those words stayed in Ollie's head like an alarm. He began staying late almost every day. Servers, cables, reports, everything blurred together. Sometimes he missed dinner. Sometimes he missed Mei Lin's messages. Mei Lin noticed the change. "You're always tired now," she said one evening when they finally met for coffee near Raffles Place. Ollie rubbed his eyes. "I have to do this. If I lose this job, everything ends." She nodded, but her smile was weak. "I understand. I'm also very busy." That was true. Mei Lin's company had shortlisted her for a promotion. It was a big opportunity, but it came with pressure. Her boss expected full focus, long hours, and flexibility. One night, after a late meeting, Mei Lin called Ollie. "Can we meet for a while?" she asked. Ollie checked the time. It was already 10:30 p.m. He was exhausted, but he said yes. They met at a quiet spot near the Singapore River. The city lights reflected on the water, but the place felt lonely. Mei Lin looked stressed. "My boss says if I get this role, I might need to travel more. Maybe even move departments." "That's good news," Ollie said, forcing a smile. "It is," she replied. "But it also means less time." Ollie stayed silent. She continued, "Ollie, sometimes I feel like we are always running. Work, pressure, future. When do we leave?" Ollie felt a pain in his chest. I asked myself the same question. They stood close. Mei Lin touched his arm, then leaned in. They kissed, slow and deep, like they were trying to hold on to something slipping away. When they pulled back, her eyes were wet. "I don't want to lose you," she whispered. Ollie held her face gently. "I don't want to lose you either." But reality was stronger than promises. Weeks passed. Meetings replaced dates. Video calls replaced walks. Some days, they didn't talk at all. When they did, small misunderstandings turned into quiet arguments. "You didn't reply for the whole day," Mei Lin said once. "I was working," Ollie replied. "I told you." "I know," she said, hurt. "But I needed you." Ollie felt helpless. "I'm trying my best." One Sunday, Ollie received a call from home. His mother's voice was worried. "We need money next month," she said. "Your younger brother's fees." Ollie closed his eyes. "I'll manage." After the call, he sat alone for a long time. That night, he messaged Mei Lin. "Can we meet tomorrow?" They met after work near Burgess. Ollie told her everything: family pressure, money, fear of losing his job. Mei Lin listened quietly. "You carry so much," she said softly. I have no choice, Ollie replied. Sometimes I feel love is a luxury I cannot afford. Her face changed at those words. So, am I a luxury? She asked. Ollie panicked. No, that's not what I meant. But it sounds like it, she said, her voice shaking. Silence filled the space between them. Finally, Mei-Lin spoke. Ollie, I care about you deeply. But I cannot fight your battles for you. And I cannot pause my life either. Ollie nodded slowly. I know. They hugged, tight and long. It felt like a goodbye, even though no one said it. As they separated, Mei-Lin kissed him on the cheek, then on the lips, soft, trembling. Whatever happens, she said, you will always matter to me. Ollie watched her walk away into the crowd. Singapore moved on around him, busy, focused, unforgiving. And Ollie realized that love was still there, but time was no longer on their side. After that evening at Bugis, Ollie and Mei-Lin were still together, but something had changed. They were no longer relaxed with each other. Conversations felt careful, like both were afraid of saying the wrong thing. The love was there, but it was tired. Ollie's contract review came closer. He worked even harder, often skipping meals. His phone stayed silent most days. When Mei-Lin messaged, he replied late, sometimes with just one line. Busy. Talk later. Mei-Lin read those messages again and again. She understood his situation, but understanding did not stop the loneliness. At the same time, her promotion was confirmed. Her boss smiled and said, Congratulations, Mei-Lin. This role has more responsibility. We expect full commitment. That night, she sat alone in her apartment, looking at the city lights. She should have felt happy. Instead, she felt empty. She called Ollie. Hey, she said softly. Hi, Ollie replied. He sounded exhausted. I got the promotion. That's great, he said. I'm proud of you. There was a pause. Ollie, do you think we are still okay? She asked. Ollie didn't answer immediately. I don't know, he said honestly. Those words hurt more than an argument. Days turned into weeks. They met rarely. When they did, there was love in their eyes, but also distance. They hugged longer, kissed slower, like they were afraid each meeting might be the last. One evening, Mei-Lin came to Ollie's place for the first time. The room was small and simple. A prayer mat in the corner, family photos on the wall. This is your world, she said quietly. Yes, Ollie replied. Everything I'm fighting for. She touched one photo. Your mother? Ollie nodded. They sat on the bed, close. Mei-Lin rested her head on his chest. Ollie held her tightly, breathing in her scent, trying to remember this moment forever. I wish things were easier, she whispered. Ollie kissed her forehead. Then her lips. The kiss was deep and emotional, filled with unspoken fear. Mei-Lin's hands held his shirt, like she didn't want to let go. But even in that closeness, reality stood between them. A few days later, Ollie received the email. Contract renewal approved for 6 months only. 6 months. Not stability. Just time. That night, he met Mei-Lin near Orchard Road. The streets were crowded, bright, and noisy. 6 months, Ollie said quietly. After that, nothing is sure. Mei-Lin felt tears rise. Ollie. I can't plan my life in 6-month pieces. I know, he said. And I can't promise you a future. They stood there, surrounded by people, yet completely alone. I love you, Mei-lin said, crying softly. Ollie held her face. I love you too. They kissed, long, emotional, painful. It was not about desire anymore. It was about goodbye, even if they were not ready to accept it. As they pulled away, Mei-lin said, maybe loving each other is not enough in this city. Ollie didn't disagree. Singapore had given them opportunity, discipline, and growth, but it was slowly taking their love. After that night on Orchard Road, Ollie and Mei-lin both felt it. The end was getting closer, even if they didn't want to see it. They still talk, but their conversations felt heavy. Every plan sounded uncertain. Every see you soon felt like a question. Mei-lin's new role demanded more from her. She stayed late in the office, attended networking events, and traveled for short work trips. People around her talked about long-term plans, career growth, buying a flat, stability. Ollie's life moved in the opposite direction. 6 months was all he had. He started saving every dollar, skipping small comforts, sending more money home. His mother often said, Allah will make a way, but Ollie knew faith also needed sacrifice. One Saturday evening, Mei-lin asked Ollie to meet her at a quiet cafe in Tiong Bahru. It was a calm area, old-style buildings, less noise, very different from the busy city center. Ollie arrived early. His hands were shaking. When Mei-lin came in, she looked tired but beautiful. She sat across from him, took a deep breath, and said, Ollie, we need to be honest now. Ollie nodded. Yes. She looked straight into his eyes. I love you. But I am building a future here. Everything in my life is planned, career, home, stability. Ollie listened quietly. She continued, your life is full of uncertainty. Visa, contract, family pressure. I respect you for that, but I don't know where I fit in. Ollie felt a lump in his throat. You fit in my heart, he said softly. Mei-lin smiled sadly. Sometimes that's not enough. Silence fell between them. Ollie finally spoke. If I choose love, I risk losing everything else. If I choose responsibility, I lose you. Tears rolled down Mei-lin's face. I don't want you to choose me and regret it. And I don't want you to wait for a future I cannot promise, Ollie replied. They both knew the truth now. Mei-lin reached across the table and held his hand. Maybe, loving each other also means letting go. Ollie closed his eyes. That sentence hurt more than anything else. They walked together after the cafe, slowly, like they were trying to delay time. The evening air was warm. The streets were quiet. At a small park nearby, they stopped. Ollie held Mei-lin close. She pressed her face against his chest and cried. Ollie felt his own tears fall, but he didn't stop her. He just held her, memorizing the feeling. He lifted her face gently and kissed her, deep, slow, and full of everything they could not say. Mei-lin kissed him back, holding him tightly, like this kiss was their last memory together. When they pulled apart, Mei-lin whispered, I will never forget you. Ollie replied, you changed my life. They stood there for a long moment, hands still connected. Then Mei-lin slowly let go. Take care of yourself, Ollie, she said. You too, Mei-lin. She turned and walked away, not looking back. Ollie stayed there, watching until she disappeared from sight. That night, Ollie returned to his room alone. He looked at the city lights from his window, the same city where he had found love, and where he had lost it. Singapore had taught him discipline, strength, and heartbreak. But deep inside, he knew this was not the end of their stories, just a painful pause. The weeks after Mei Lin left were the hardest for Ollie. He went to work every day, moving through tasks with mechanical efficiency. The data center was quiet, cold, and precise, just like his heart. Nights were longer than before, and the small apartment felt emptier. But life didn't stop. Ollie focused on his contract, sent more money home, and slowly began to regain a sense of control. He walked through Singapore streets alone, sometimes past Marina Bay, sometimes under the bright lights of Orchard Road. Each place reminded him of Mei Lin, of the love they shared, and of the kiss they had held onto in secret. One evening, after months of hard work, Ollie received good news. His contract was extended for another year. It wasn't permanent, but it was stability. He felt a mixture of relief and sadness. The city had given him opportunity, but at a cost. Meanwhile, Mei Lin thrived in her career. She was promoted, traveled for work, and gained respect from colleagues. Yet, in quiet moments, she would think of Ollie. She smiled at memories of shared lunches, walks at East Coast Park, and their moments of closeness under the Singapore skyline. They didn't see each other for months, but Singapore had a way of bringing people back in unexpected ways. One evening, at a small charity event in Marina Bay Sands, Ollie was helping set up technical equipment when he saw her. Mei Lin was there for a work event, volunteering to help organize donations. Their eyes met. Neither spoke immediately. They walked toward each other slowly, awkwardly, but with recognition. "Hi," Mei Lin said softly, a gentle smile playing on her lips. "Hi," Ollie replied, his heart beating fast. They talked for a while, not about love, not about heartbreak, but about life. The small words, the laughs, and the shared memories came naturally. There was no pressure, no expectation, just a warm connection that reminded them both why they had cared so deeply. As the event ended, they walked outside, watching the lights reflect on the calm water of Marina Bay. "I miss this city with you," Ollie said. Mei Lin laughed lightly. "I missed it with you too." They stood in silence for a moment, taking in the view. Then, Ollie gently held her hand. It was soft, familiar, and comforting. "Maybe one day, we can try again," he asked, hopeful but careful. Mei Lin looked at him, eyes reflecting both past sadness and current strength. "Maybe," she said, squeezing his hand. "But only if life allows us to do it differently this time." They smiled at each other, a mix of sadness, hope, and acceptance in their hearts. Singapore had taken their first love in its fast-paced life, but it had also given them a chance to grow, to learn, and to maybe find each other again, on new terms, as equals, stronger than before. As they walked along the bay, side by side, the city lights twinkled around them, and the air smelled of possibility. Ollie knew the journey wasn't over, it was just beginning, this time with patience, understanding, and the quiet strength of hearts that had survived distance and responsibility. And somewhere in the background, the city of Singapore continued its rhythm, busy, disciplined, and unyielding, yet now a little softer for them both.